Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a little install on the LS Swap 350Z. A few little things I wanted to tidy up with the engine bay here that I wasn't too happy with. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. These coil packs, I'm not too big of a fan of how they look. They got a little bit of corrosion on them and stuff, and these are from like an old van. These were just to kind of get me started with, you know, get the car running and everything else. Also, I wasn't too happy with these valve covers here with the extra nipples on here. It just doesn't look very clean, as well as this bracket right here that holds all these coil packs on. So a thing to do to get rid of that bracket is to get the Holley valve covers here. These actually, the only nipples that are there hold these coil packs here, so it'll make it look much more cleaner. These coil packs will look a lot nicer in the engine bay here, as you can see. So these are the MSD Street Fires, so they're like Camaro, Corvette stuff. Like most of this stuff for the LS is the same, like I've talked about before. So these coils are, like I said, they're from a van, like a 6-liter van or whatever. So they'll be the same wiring pinout and everything else. GM usually keeps their stuff pretty similar that way. We're gonna start by taking these off here, this rail. The engine's brand new, everything's brand new on it, like all new block heads, everything else. So I just, it's a shame to kind of throw on the old, like these don't look terrible, but they got a bit of pitting marks and stuff on them. So that's what we're gonna be doing today, popping these valve covers off, popping these coils off, getting everything tidied up on here. Well, as another part of the video, I have the mufflers that I was talking about there from Vibrant. They're actually being welded up right at the moment. So we're gonna probably install those today sometime too, so I'll include that in the video. But as of right now, we're just open. If you look underneath, we're just open pipes here. You can see that's where the connection is. And then we're gonna get those mufflers welded in on the nice 45. So we'll install those today in this video too, if it works out within the timing that I can get this done and those mufflers are done. Now that that's out of the way, we're going to take all these 8 mils here and pop those out, transfer the gaskets over to the new valve cover, put the new valve cover on. We already have brand new gaskets here, so I'm just going to transfer them over. Normally, if they were old and an older engine or whatever and they've never been changed, obviously I would order new gaskets and replace them at the same time, just because it makes sense. Now that we have this off, it's actually a great time to inspect, since this is a brand new engine with all like freshly built and everything. It's a good thing to make sure everything's tight, all your rocker arms and everything. Make sure nothing went loose on you. Inspect it, make sure everything looks all clean. As you can see there, everything looks really good. We did the trunnion support too as well, or the upgrade here. Instead of the needle bearings, we actually use bushings. For higher RPMs, those needle bearings in there, sometimes they can let go and then you get everything in the engine you don't want. So seems like those are all holding up. Everything's nice and tight here. It's good, all the springs look good. So far, the serviceability of this engine in this car is really good, and I'm actually pretty impressed with it. I've already had to change over a couple alternators. I started off with buying off-brand alternators just from my supplier or whatever, just to kind of see how they work. And there's a difference, definitely a difference in OEM. Sometimes you can get away with aftermarket stuff, but for the most part, better just to spend the extra money and maybe get OEM, especially if it's like electronics, like alternators and stuff. Like I said, I've been through 2 on this engine already, and I don't know why, but they kind of give out. They started overcharging and then they just gave out. So now I actually have the GM original in here. The OEM one, I paid a little bit more for it. I think they go for like $800 or whatever from GM themselves. So I was able to actually source one of those. They're kind of harder to get too, but so far I haven't had any issues with it. It's charging normally and everything. So we're gonna have our fingers crossed for that this alternator doesn't take a dump either. So now that we are over here, we're gonna transfer over all these studs here and this gasket to the new valve cover. You can see here, it looks way better already. Much tidier look. Everything's nice and clean there. It kind of flows with the engine a lot better there as opposed to these. These stick up quite a bit higher. And as you guys seen previously there's a much cleaner look. There's no extra nipples laying around here, anything that looks unused. So that turned out pretty good. So now to do the other side. So I just got done with the right side. It was definitely harder to do the right side just because there's a bit more stuff on there. I have the fuel rail inlet there, the fuel line, the heater core lines, all that stuff is on that side, including the catch can. So I had to remove the catch can, which is fine. With the bracket that I made, it goes right to this engine ground here on the top of the head. It's just one bolt anyway, so that comes off of one bolt. You pull those lines off and then move these lines out of the way as you've seen there. But as you guys can see, it looks much more cleaner now with those coils and those valve covers on there. As you can see, it's very simple looking. No extra brackets. Everything else sits way more low profile than the old ones. The old ones were a lot higher. So now it's just a much cleaner look to the engine bay. Pretty satisfied with how this worked here. Kind of actually wish I was able to keep the original factory filler neck. In my opinion, it looks a little bit more OEM, but this doesn't look too bad either. It doesn't really match anything else that's in the engine bay, but I can't really screw this or that on there because it's actually fine thread now on there, but it's not a big deal. Small thing that I'll be looking at, and you know, the little things that give me OCD or whatever looking at things, and but that's all part of building this stuff here. It definitely takes time to try and line everything up and whatnot, and I'm very meticulous with how stuff looks. So certain things, you know, there's always going to be something that you're looking at that, you know, only you see, and you guys will know this too. And whenever you have your own car or whatever, whenever you're looking at it, there's just some little things just bug you, just the tiniest little things, but nobody else would probably notice it, but you. And sometimes that's the worst, when you notice it and you see it on a car or something, nobody else does. It's just enough to bug you, and you definitely got to do something. Sometimes you just got to do things for yourself. It's like when I bring up a car on the hoist, or whether it's Mustang or the 350, I'm underneath of it, shining the underneath of it, because I know that at the end of the day it's super clean under there, and I know nobody else is going to see that, but me knowing that it's clean, it's just, that gives me the satisfaction. And it's just a little OCD thing too, like I was talking about before. But as of for that, guys, this is all done in here now with the new valve covers and coil packs. So the next step we're going to do here is do the mufflers, and then we're going to carry on with that, fire it up, roll it outside, and see how the mufflers sound, and we'll go from there. Alright, so now that I've got them all hooked up there, as you guys seen, welds look really good, everything lined up good. Pretty sweet that somebody can fabricate something like that without even having the car. I just gave these tail ends to a buddy of mine, and he basically made a jig with the old setup, and then that way the tailpipes are nothing moved at all, and then he cut the old section out like we talked about and threw those mufflers in. So we're gonna do a first fire up here, and then we're gonna see how it sounds. mufflers are pretty good. It's not too bad of a drone. It's definitely better than what it was before. They sound really good. They quieted it up pretty good. We'll get on it here. I know you probably can't hear it from inside the vehicle, but it'll make this car a lot easier to drive and more enjoyable to drive instead of having it so loud all the time. We'll do a bit of a pull up here in a minute. Just so you guys know, having a V8 in a light car like this is just super snappy. You'll see in a second here. First gear is useless. So that was the first actual rip on the, I've driven it a little bit just to try to get the tuning good and taking it easy with it, but that video right there was the first time I've actually beaten on it a little bit and, you know, getting the RPMs up in the top there, making sure the rev limiter works. As you can hear there, it sounds really good. I'm very happy with those mufflers. They quieted it down big time and there's not too much drone in it, which is pretty sweet. It's definitely livable now when you're driving it, and it makes it very much more enjoyable to actually drive the car now. Yeah, they look good too as well. They fit in there perfect. They're I'll leave a link in the description of the vibrant mufflers that I did get, so if anybody wants to get the same thing, they can do that. But as of for the install today, obviously you guys seen the coil install and the valve cover install at the beginning there. That tidies everything up really good in the engine bay. All the coils are obviously running and firing in all cylinders, so that's a good sign too. As of for that, guys, stay tuned for more content with the 350. Dyno video will be coming soon. Everybody's just super busy right now, so it's really hard to try and get dyno time. Everybody wants their car tuned, so soon enough we'll have this car on the dyno and we'll see the numbers that it's making. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, leave a comment, subscribe. See you in the next one.